And based on Mr. Gathwright's age, physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes. With my experience, not only just in classification, but as former warden and even as a jail administrator, he's someone that's young, he's healthy. In reality, we need that labor, we need that sweat equity, and we will put him out there to work because we do have an aging prison population, jail administration, we have that. So we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
And I know we talk about life without parole and death row, but for our jurors' education, in Florida, what does a life sentence without parole mean?
A life sentence in the Florida Department of Corrections means from the minute they're brought in, they're assigned an inmate number. He will be assigned an inmate number, and when he dies and leaves in a body bag, he will still have that inmate number. An inmate serving life will never, ever get out. There is no parole in the state of Florida, and they're not ever allowed outside the razor wire and the fence of a secured facility.
So the only way that an inmate serving life without parole would leave is when they die by natural causes.
Now, for my hardcore followers, people that's been watching me for many years, you know that I was covering this horrific Jacksonville gang war for a long time. I was doing videos on this 5 years ago. 5 years ago. When Julio Foolio was making videos about, the people that was unalive with the gang that he was connected to, with Young and Ace and Who I Smoked. And the news down there in the police department was interviewing the parents of the deceased because these kids were slaughtering each other, right? And it was just going on. So now we saw the situation with Queso and his father, where the father testified against him, and the son ended up getting life. We got Julio Foolio getting smoked, right, on his birthday. And you got these guys, man, Isaiah Chance, Sean Garthwright, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, all being found guilty. And then Alicia Andrews being found guilty of manslaughter. This whole thing is just crazy and it's sad. Me, who I am, having a foundation, working with inner city youth. I go into these prisons. I've spoken at city council. I've also spoken in different places about intellectual disabilities and how these young men are being sentenced, but they're not having a proper psych evaluation on them as opposed to other groups. Like, this whole thing is just a mess, right? And our communities are suffering because we're in pain and we're unaliving each other at an alarming rate. But I want to first, before I really go off into this video, I want to go back in time and present something to you guys that's not being presented, that was going on years ago with this war with these two factions. Let's start from there.
Now to our I-Team investigation, killer beats. Rap music videos about murders in Jacksonville fuel fire in the community.
Mothers of the victims are speaking out, saying the videos and lyrics have gone too far, giving specific details about the horrific crimes. I-Team investigator Corley Peel is joining us live to show us how this deadly music videos, how they are really damaging families. Corley?
Well, Tarek and Stacy, many of these parents I've spoken with are still waiting for arrest, or they're waiting for a trial for their son's murders. While they wait for justice, music videos from rival rap groups in Jacksonville have gained popularity across the country with songs glorifying their son's murders. The music and beat are catchy. Gaining millions of views and plays on YouTube and streaming services. Local rappers rising to fame with lyrics of young men in Jacksonville. The victims behind the lyrics are sons. What is it like when you see your son's name and his murder talked about in these rap songs?
It's like somebody taking an open wound or a healing wound and opening it back up and stabbing at it over and over again.
I hope and pray that, the person or the persons who are rapping about, that they understand that you have a mom too. And would you want your mom to feel the way the other moms feel?
JSO says the different rap groups known as ATK and KTA are rivals on the streets. ATK and KTA, those are the groups that we hear about a lot. Are they the biggest problem for Jacksonville?
They have been recently, for the most part.
In this music video,
And now I wonder what I upset, got a low, I told her drop that. FNSP when the head ain't got the kite back.
the man in the green shirt is Kenyatta Bullard. He's known as rapper Young and Ace. He was a sole survivor in a deadly quadruple shooting at the town center in 2018. In the video, he wears an ATK chain around his neck. The lyrics reference 3 men killed in shootings. The victims, known as Bibby, is 16-year-old Adrian Gaynor.
He was joy. All he did was laugh and dance.
He was shot and killed in the Hilltop Village Apartments in 2019.
Nobody can do anything worse to me than killing my child.
It took 2 years for an arrest to be made. The man accused of killing him is Hakeem Robinson, known as rapper Queso. Robinson is charged with second-degree. Gaynor's mother, Elizabeth Gaynor, says Robinson and other rappers continuously mocked her son's death in music videos and on social media for years. Specifically, what has been said about your son in these songs?
I've heard anything from where he was shot. I've heard what his last words were.
Baby had a clue cut, so I wasn't surprised.
This is not the only murder Robinson is accused of. He is also...
So these guys traveled from Jacksonville to the what was it, the home suites in Hilton, because he put his location out there. So they traveled them. They were seen on surveillance video, following them. I keep telling you, young people, everything is on the grid. They got you, right? So let's check that part out on how all this thing transpired and what happened.
In the early morning hours of Sunday, June 23rd, Jacksonville rapper Charles Jones arrived at Teaser's Gentlemen's Club in Tampa for a paid performance.
He's the gentleman wearing the red beanie hat.
That's Tampa Police Homicide Detective Juan Ramos identifying the rapper, known as Julio Foolio, in new surveillance video from the club's parking lot. Suspects Alicia Andrews, Isaiah Chance, and Sean Gathright watched this video in court Thursday, too. All 3 face charges in Jones's death in what investigators say was an ongoing rival gang war. After leaving Teasers, the rapper went down the street to Truth 18 nightclub for an after party, posting on social media in live time.
This is the video here from his Instagram.
Surveillance video from outside that club shows how 2 suspect vehicles continued to follow Jones, just as they did at Teasers, and eventually to the Home 2 suites near USF.
They're approaching the victim's position on foot.
Video from the hotel and a parked...
Once again, there is no actual video or identifiable footage that shows that Mr. Gathright was physically present at Home 2 Suites. Is that correct?
Correct.
The state presented a picture from Gathright's cell phone taken one day after the murder, showing a bottle of Don Julio. The detective testified that, based on gang knowledge, this represents an insult to the rapper Julio Foolio. Here's Gathright's attorney.
Were you able to ascertain if my client, Mr. Gathright, was the one that actually purchased Don Julio?
No.
So anybody could have been at that club and purchased it?
Yes, of course.
In Tampa, Ariel Placencia, Fox 13 News.
So all these people end up being arrested, right? They all end up being arrested and going to trial, and they got found guilty. So you had Sean Gathright in there. He's in there crying, but we're finding out that Isaiah Chance, he suffers from severe intellectual disability, right? And he's trying to say that, hey, he wasn't the power, right? Was the girlfriend of Andrews, and this whole thing is just a mess. They got y'all on surveillance camera coming from Jacksonville, going up to Tampa, doing the crime, going back. You was all, listen, y'all hard-headed and don't listen. So you hear them people, listen, you hear that W judge and that warden, they can't wait to get you them black bodies in there, the sweat equity. They can't wait to get you in there. So now it's over for these guys. This video is for you guys that's out there now. When I was doing my series, Death to the Real Jigger, I wasn't talking about unaliving nobody. I was talking about unaliving that jigger in your brain. Because you think it's okay to unalive your own people, then you got to go in front of these W's and get sentenced to life. Then you want to call racism. No, we gotta fix this stuff, man, because they ain't playing.
We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1, victim Charles Jones. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. During the commission of the offense, the defendant personally carried, displayed, used, threatened to use, or attempt to use a form. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1, victim Charles Jones. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. During the commission of the offense, did the defendant personally carry, display, use, threaten to use, or attempt to use a firearm? Yes. During the commission of the offense, the defendant actually possessed a firearm. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. Did the state of Florida prove beyond a reasonable doubt the defendant was a member or an associate of a criminal gang during the commission of the offense? Form. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1, victim Charles Jones. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. If during the commission of the offense, the defendant personally carry, display, use to
So you can see that they all was found guilty. And the guy Sean is in the courtroom crying. Light skin, wavy hair. He about to go into the penitentiary, man. This young man is the youngest. I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck with you, man. He don't stand a chance. He gonna have to be on protective custody his whole life sentence. He don't stand a chance in there. Jail is where all the bad guys go. Jail's where all the real jiggers go. You think the wardens care about him? Man, this thing, and they see him crying. They see the news. They see him crying. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Then you got Davion Murphy. Davion Murphy, his father and his uncle, his father's brother, is doing a life without parole sentence for unaliving somebody. This young man never had a chance. He never had a chance. He was never able to be reared the right way and raised up.
Davion Murphy's life was when Davion Murphy was just a mere 12 years old. And his father got arrested and charged with murder. His father and his uncle were charged with the same murder. And as you all sit here, as we all sit here, as Davion Murphy sits here, his father is doing life in prison.
Now, he's going to be in there with his father, his uncle, and now him. And you know, when I make my live streams and I talk about foundational Black Americans having to clean up their communities, I'm serious about this because I done sat in courtrooms and watch young black boys get sent away for life. I live in the state of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth. Life is life, period. And it's a sad thing. And I watch some young men commit crimes, and they grown with a second grade reading level. Their cognitive skills is off. They have an inability to understand consequences of actions. And that's just a whole nother thing that people don't even understand. But then you got these guys, they want to be real jiggers and gangsters. But then you got Sean on the stand afterwards begging to not be sentenced to life. Well, all you had to do was just be out here amongst your people and do the right thing. You wouldn't. Just look at this.
To the victim's family, you know, I want to send my deepest condolences and my, you know, I understand that it's hard losing a child, a best friend, a brother, a cousin, and for that I just cannot say sorry enough, you know. I feel terrible about the situation, but I'm a firm believer that God can use anything for good that the devil wanted for bad. And so I am grateful for the people I've met, for the lessons that I've learned, for just this experience in general, because it's one that I'll never forget, and it's going to shape the rest of my life.
Sounds like there's that saying, it's kind of cheesy, but you make lemons out of lemonade or whatever.
Lemonade out of lemons.
Somehow. I obviously don't make lemonade, but...
See, some of our people got a demonic curse on them, man. You know, we spent so many years of them unaliving us. And we fought and marched and begged and fought and died just to get them to stop unaliving us. Now we're unaliving us, and a lot of them get to be our judge and jury. If that's, I don't know what to call it, man. And now all of a sudden he's on a stand, and the young man is remorseful because he's out of that environment that he was living in. Now he's going back to being a normal human being, unfortunately. But now it's too late, because now you got to go away forever. And our people are traumatized. We're not conditioned to forgive each other because we're set up to behave the way we were designed to behave. At one time they had the chains on us, right? Now they took the chains off and they got the chains on your brain, and you're conditioned to hate your brother, right? And not the actual oppressor. The people who have the actual puppet master. They designed this for their own financial gain. I've been telling you, black dysfunction is profitable for everybody else, right? So they created the environment, right, and called it a project. Created the environment, then use their media to judge you for it, and create a multi-trillion-dollar prison industrial industry to house you. And I try my best to wake you guys up and educate you guys. Whenever I come with receipts, right? But let's go back and let's revisit what I did 4 years ago with these mothers, man, that was mourning their sons. And because of this demonic spirit that's on these young men, they have the inability to have any remorse because they caught up in the trap and don't even realize it. And me being an OG that come from that life, only thing I can do is try to help them and shed tears, man.
He is also charged with second-degree murder in the 2020 death of Charles McCormick, a.k.a. rapper Little Buck. His father, Abdul Robinson Sr., and his brother, Abdul Robinson Jr., are also arrested in connection to the crime. JSO says the Robinsons are linked to the group ATK. JSO Chief of Investigations TK Waters says ATK is linked to more than a dozen murders and other crimes committed in response to perceived insults.
It's a range of things. It could be drugs. It could be something as simple as me making a rap song about you and you don't like it. So one of your friends or one of your associates says we need to get back and we're going to do something, and they'll start a shooting war.
Dominique Barner and Leroy Whitaker are also charged in connection to McCormick's murder. This surveillance video shows two suspects running through a backyard after the shooting. Investigators say they held a woman before taking off. Akeem Robinson's attorney says ATK is a certified business, not a gang. You can see ATK is listed here on Apple Music right underneath Queso's songs. But if you look at the Life of ATK website, the front page says opening soon. The group KTA is also not shy about naming murder victims in its music videos. This video was made in response to the Who I Smoke video that is linked to ATK. One victim heard in KTA's songs is 30-year-old father of 12, Freddie Patterson, who was shot and killed in November 2020. His mother, Shantina Benton, says she doesn't know who the rappers are or why they would be talking about her son's death.
I mean, it's not a funny thing that somebody's dead. You know, somebody got killed. That's not funny. You know, they got loved ones, they got kids.
The lyrics also reference Corbin Johnson.
Corbin. He was 18. He was just a baby.
Johnson's mother, Melissa Jackson, reported him missing in 2018. A year later, his remains were found in a wooded area. To this day, no arrests have been made.
In my heart, I kind of feel like it's someone that he knew, because Corbin wouldn't just leave with anyone.
Breaking lyrics, Johnson's mother feels it could help police.
I feel sorry for them, actually. But for me, I want him to keep making the songs, because you're going to say the right thing at the wrong time that's going to be specific to the details that we don't know about Corbin's murder. So keep talking.
Now, Elizabeth Gaynor waits for trial, hoping for justice for her son.
Poppy was loved, deeply loved. So we here. I'm not going anywhere. And Hakeem Robinson will see me every court date until they sentence him.
Despite the details about the murders in the rap songs, Melissa Jackson and Shantina Benton are still praying for arrests.
If that person is watching, what would you want them to know?
That I forgive them.
Why is that?
Because for me, forgiveness is like, unforgiveness for me is like me taking poison and expecting someone else to die. It's just not worth it.
And what has it been like still to this day, no arrests being made?
No arrest has been made. It's been hell. It's a road, it's patience, and it's a wait. Because I'm not letting go, and JSO not letting go, and justice will be served.
Now, before we get to Isaiah Chance, who has intellectual disabilities, I want to first break this down because I deal with this with my program, and we go into these inner city youth prisons to talk to the youth. You know, I go to certain meetings and groups and speak on behalf of incarcerated youth in the East Coast corridor. And, you know, when dealing with intellectual disability involves significant limitations of cognitive functioning. I want you guys to listen, including reasoning, problem solving, and planning, and adaptive behavior originating before the age of 18 to 22. It often includes difficulty understanding consequences, limited memory, and slower learning, and requiring specialized support for daily. Now, this hits home for me. Let me show my face when I say this. This hits home for me because my 18-year-old son, who you guys see, suffers from intellectual disability. And when you see him, he's 6'1", he's a handsome young man, and he plays basketball, he raps, he can do all those things, but he has those things: understanding consequences of action, limited memory, right? Cognitive skills are not the greatest. So I have to watch over him a lot. I have to remind him of things. I have to sit him down and explain certain things to him because his reasoning for certain things is off. Or he could be around other groups of young men and he could be persuaded at times, right? So you have to be real careful. And a lot of this goes undiagnosed in our communities. And I'm telling you, listen to Brother George, listen to Bishop George. This is what I do with my program. So I go in and I advocate and I fight.
And what I find out is that our children did not have ADHD. They did not have ODD. What they had was trauma. Because trauma manifests behaviorally in not wanting to sit down, jumping, not paying attention, different things like that. So you have that intersection. Then you have the intersection of poverty. Then you have the intersection of violence. And what you have is PTSD. Now, it ain't PTSD because we ain't post nothing. What it is continual trauma.
Urban Nerds Foundation. Same as my cousin said, a lot of us been behind that wall. We've been through a lot of different things. And I'm hearing a lot of stuff today, but one thing that I'm not hearing that we go through in our community is PTSD and intellectual disabilities. A lot of our youth they're not being diagnosed. They go in front of these juvenile prisons, in front of these juvenile judges, and they're being sentenced to long sentences, but they've never had a psychological evaluation. My son ain't grown up in the streets. He's 15 years old. 4 of his classmates, 4 of his friends was killed last year. Back in the 90s and the 80s when we were growing up, we experienced death. I've been to about 40 funerals. We suffer from PTSD. A lot of our kids have intellectual disabilities. And some of us understand what that is. Our children is not getting the proper assessments. A kid go and shoot up a block party or go and just do some unimaginable acts, but he's born with certain disabilities. He's not. They're not. We're not. What I'm saying is, that kid may be in trouble, may be done. But what about all the kids coming behind him? We don't even pay attention to that kind of stuff. We complain about the things that we go through, but in that youth study center and here in the East Coast corridor and these juvenile prisons, how many of us are pushing for our kids to get the proper assessments that they should get, coming from the homes that they get, coming from the homes that they come from? I'm not hearing none of that in there. And I'm an advocate of that because I have a 15-year-old son that's born with an intellectual disability. If he walked in here right now, you wouldn't even know it. He can talk, he can interact with everybody, but he reads on a 5th grade reading level. He's about to be 16 years old. So I want to hear more of that because coming from these areas of Southwest North Philly, our kids are experiencing a lot of different things, but we got to get our kids these proper assessments, man. And I know, I forgot her name, but she works in the prisons. So I'm sure she sees it. But I want us to be more diligent because if we want to focus on our children and crime, a lot of our kids have cognitive skills are off. And we don't speak to that. We just want to throw them away. For these kids, man. I'm fighting for these kids. But you guys gotta, like, man, this thing is real. This thing is real scary, man. But let's go back and do some, let's do some more. Right? Limited education functioning, difficulty with planning, reasoning, and logical thinking and judgment, often leading to an inability to understand the consequences of action, right? And this is what happens when leading up to a person like Isaiah Chance. Now, a lot of people, because our people are traumatized, they're not inclined to listen to this. But this is important because when there's other groups of ethnic groups in court, this matters. This matters. When it comes to us, no, it don't matter. And we get unfair treatment in these courts. Slow learning and memory issues, slowing processing speeds, and problem with memory affect learning in school in Delhi. Adaptive behavioral limitation challenges in conceptual academic memory and social judgment, right? And practical self-care, money management, and domains. This is important, right? Social and emotional challenges, potential for childish behavior, inconsistent with age, and poor understanding of social rules, right? So, man, listen, I can go on and on about this, but I just want you to guys, I just want you guys to understand. So here we go. I read this part. Cause and diagnosis. Intellectual disabilities arrive during the development period, 18 to 22. Common causes include genetic conditions, Down syndrome, birth defects, infections during pregnancy, and injuries, right? Involves assessing IQ often below 70 and adaptive functioning through professional evaluations. So with that being said, let's get to Isaiah Chance.
Young boy, I will say that Isaiah has some learning challenges, speech impediments. He stuttered. So if you listen to him talk, you had to lean in, give him some patience. If he didn't pronounce it right, say it again.
When he was a little boy, did he have any problems in school, learning disabilities that you observed?
Yes, it was. Isaiah didn't talk for a couple of years, maybe to about 4 or 5. So we knew that there were some speech impeditive problems.
So he wasn't verbal for the first few years of his life, all the way up to age 4?
About 4, between 3 to 5, that area, yes.
Okay, much later than your other grandchildren developed verbal skills. All right. And did he have a speech impediment?
Yes.
Describe what it was to the jury. What did he suffer from?
He would want to express himself, and he would stutter a lot, and you just had to be patient and sit with him and then let him say what he needed to say at that time.
Do you think as a young child that affected?
That his reading, his ability to sight read, was at a 5th grade level. His math skills were at a 3rd grade level. His spelling skills were at a 8th grade level, and his sentence comprehension skills were at a 7th grade level. The 7th grade level being an ending 7th grade level. Overall, all of his scores from his worst subject area, which would be math, which is at a 3rd grade level, to his best subject level, which would have been the sentence comprehension, or I'm sorry, the spelling, was around an 8th grade level. What's interesting about that academic testing is that it's all below it's not high school level academic functioning.
So I'll say this in closing. It's too late for those young men, and I'm telling you right now, they don't give a damn about you out here, especially with this administration. So if you want to be running around here out here being a real jigger and a bad bee and want to be setting dudes up and want to be part of the Pow gang, then this is what come with it. The guy said, man, we need that sweat equity. He ain't got no remorse. None. You ain't nothing but a black body, a number. That's what you want to be for the rest of your life? Going in there with the possibility of somebody taking your cheeks? That's what you want? That's what you want to sign up for? You got to get out of this demonic way of thinking, young men. You got to get out of this demonic way of thinking, because it's over for these guys, man. Over for them. And so many of them other guys in the group, and I'm telling you right now, they got a sweep coming across the country, man. A lot of you guys want to be real jiggers. The communities you come from, they're gentrifying them. They don't need the urban criminal no more. That's obsolete. They wiping you out. So you still want to run wild in communities and do what you want to do? Fair enough. Don't say we didn't warn you. So if you made it this far in the video, hit that like button. Subscribe to Street Media TV. Leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love you. Till the next time, peace.